Greetings, co-Lightworkers.
We are Kristin, Angie, Robyn, Ava, and Toma, a group of mediums, intuitives, and healers.
We are the 5 Lightworkers.
And we are here as guides and students amid this great awakening.
Welcome to our show.
I mean, something huge just happened.
Would you call it the shift?
I think it's the prerequisite to the shift. Ooh, I have goosebumps all over all of a sudden. So the Queen passed away the other day. And we were talking about it, all of us 5. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That seems like such a big deal. Let's channel. I decided to channel what does it mean? So I channeled it, and they said, the Queen is part of the construct illusion of control, creating the idea that the people had no control. Illusion. An entire world of construct was based upon this belief. You are no longer part of this construct and are free. However, there are many who still allow this illusion within, and so it is. And then I said, well, when will the people who believe the illusion understand this? And they told me that the illusion continues until the forces of light release the truth. Otherwise, many can choose sovereignty or freedom now. Hold the light within to assist in the release of the truth. It is very important to continue to raise the light within. The announcement of the Queen's death is also the beginning of the collapse of the illusion to allow the truth disclosure. The end of the Federal Reserve. All will change. And that's what they told me.
I think it's the first domino to fall.
Yes.
And I think the next one, based on what you just said, is the Federal Reserve, the collapse of the banking system. That's very interesting.
My follow-up question was going to be what to expect in the future going forward from this pre-shift, right?
And the Federal Reserve is another example of a centralized power, like the Queen and those surrounding her.
The systems that create the illusion. I think my guides use the word illusion because it's all an illusion that has been created to believe that we were under the control of somebody else, when all this time we really have been free spiritually. Nobody can control your beliefs. Nobody can control your thoughts. Nobody can control your mind. So if thoughts create reality, that's it. Everything else is an illusion.
So the illusion is that you have no control, but you really do, but you think you don't. So that is the illusion.
If we all believe that there are no systems and we have control, all of us, we would all have control. So it's all like having that same mindset of the light. So go ahead, Robyn, what were you going to say?
Just prior to at the taping of the show, we talked about it, and I just breezed through it. I didn't watch the news. I wasn't involved. I wasn't in fear. And I just continued living my life. I mean, there were restrictions surrounding what we could do or not do, but I was pretty happy. I wasn't carrying fear. And if you don't live in their illusion, it doesn't affect you the same.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a polarized topic for many. And I think a big thing you mentioned was about fear, and fear is known to lower the immune system.
Exactly.
So regardless of what you believe, if you can really stay out of fear, or if you have that, transmute that, then you are much better off.
And for me, the lack of fear of catching it is because I knew how to boost my immune system. I've been working with a naturopath for years. Vitamin D, the zinc, the vitamin C. I have an ozone machine at home, so I could treat myself if that came to be. So there was no fear. But you never heard of any of this coming out in the media. And there was nothing. They just promoted fear, and it wasn't right. It just didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, and we're talking about sovereignty, which really goes along with that. And these programs of sovereignty are so deep. I mean, you think about so many people and beings in history that have helped teach people that they have the power, empowering them. And those in control really don't like that. I mean, regardless of what you believe, not taking this from a religious standpoint, Jesus was not liked by many. And he really was helping people see the light in themselves. And I mean, so many throughout history. Anybody that has walked against a status quo program, often, usually, actually, maybe always run by fear. Because if you can get people afraid, they're much more easily controlled.
So would you say that if we've been living for generations and millennia in fear under the illusion of control, right, that we're stepping into the lack of fear, hopefully, and into the light, into the love, which would be the unity consciousness?
I think
I feel
so.
like that's where we're headed. Yeah. I want to add something that kind of goes along with what Angie channeled. Back in December, I was meditating and I had a clear vision, just like a movie was playing. It came up. It was like I was watching a TV screen, and it had mentioned Biden passing, and it mentioned the Queen passing. And then after that, the world went into this chaos, and there was all these collapses. So the financial system collapsed, healthcare systems collapsing. There's a bunch of truths that are coming out. And it was like all of this was shown to me in just this couple seconds, and then all of a sudden it just went dark. But it was explaining to me that when this happens, the world's going to look like it's going into chaos, because all of these things are going to collapse. All of these things that we've been so indoctrinated to believe in, that it's the right way, that's not the right way. And these are all going to collapse, but it's for the greater good. It's for us to rebuild a better way.
So a lot of muck comes out when things are collapsing, almost like how you were talking about in your work, naturopathy, and how when you're healing, a lot of toxins and things come out. And what did you call that again?
A healing challenge.
Yes. Okay.
You get worse. Things get worse before they get better. So when you start to detox, you just go into this spiral of having all of these symptoms getting worse. And then all of a sudden, when you get those toxins out, your body starts to heal and you get better.
Any of you feel a lot of this negative emotions coming up, or reliving some negative emotions from way past, and then you realize, okay, this is kind of like purging because of all the light codes that are coming in? It gets worse before it gets better. I've been feeling that. You too?
Yeah,
Totally.
I have, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you take the solar flares and all of these things, and you just kind of amplify that. It's a real fun time.
Ava, earlier you were sharing something regarding depression, where the feelings regarding depression, what was that about?
I had a few channeled messages with a guide of mine asking about depression and emotions. So I asked, what is negative energy? Firstly, we can recall that everything is a particular rate of frequency. And what you call a negative emotion is just a slower frequency. And we want to remind you that in the fifth density dimension and above, the concept of positive and negative begins to fizzle away. The change in frequency, the contrast, can be seen as the yin and the yang symbol, or what you call day and night, light and dark. In the earth of contrast, how can you know what it feels like to be well rested without sleep deprivation? How can you know what love feels like without fear? How can you know what joy feels like without pain? All of these contrasts are teachers. So is the night sky bad because you don't see the sun shining? With this understanding from a higher perspective, good and bad, positive and negative doesn't exist, as they are all two halves of a whole. And in the fifth dimension and beyond, that wholeness is truth. That is that which aligns with source. So depression, many are experiencing what you call depression. What is viewed as some criteria by Western medical standards: loss of interest in hobbies, change in sleep, change in eating, less interest in socializing, the same people, therefore change. But what is growth? Change. So as humanity awakens, people are being thrust into immense growth, this change. Do you listen to the same music as you did when you were 10 or 16? Do you hang out with the same people or have the same interests? Do you resonate with the same things? Is your diet and sleep the same? If all remain the same, where would the growth be? This is not to say change equals depression, but rather the depression you speak of is a resistance to such change and an attachment to what once was or what you think it should be, what's familiar. The ego likes familiarity, predictability, a pseudo safety. So must you deny these negative emotions of depression? No, get curious. If it had a voice, what would it tell you? Because of the vastness in energies and beings, physical and non-physical, visible and non-visible, there are also spirits all around. As vibration matches to a similar vibration, we can be a magnet to similar energies. Now, I know we said that there is no negative and positive, which is true from a higher perspective, and we must recognize the energies in the lower astral realm. We do not see this as necessarily bad, because oftentimes these entities show you where you are giving your power away. Some of you have energetically wrestled with negative entities. They fed off your fear and pushed you to a point where you were tired of it and commanded it out of your space. You stopped allowing these entities to torment you. You took your power back. What an experience of growth. So be aware that many of your thoughts and emotions are not coming from you. You can recognize, transmute, own your power and energetic space, and stand in sovereignty. This theme of sovereignty we're talking about. If I was to sum this all up, I would say stand in your present awareness, untethered to the shackles of the past or future. Here in your heart, flow, allowance, and grace. So basically, what this guide of mine was telling me was that a lot of what we think of depression is really just growth and change, and then an attachment to something that once was. And to also be aware of there's our own internal process, and to be aware that there's these other energies that may be influencing. So what you're feeling could be coming from you. It also could not be coming from you. And that's when you have to sort of tune in.
Wow, Ava, that was incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
That was great.
Thank you, God.
That via automatic.
What?
That via automatic writing, didn't you?
Yes, that was automatic writing. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Depression's basically a sadness of letting something go in your life. You're sort of missing it, basically.
Or resisting the letting go and not letting go.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's the ego.
I can identify with that in some various times in my life.
Or you're going through, we're all going through this stuff, us and the greater collective, and I have judged myself, and it shouldn't look like this. So you have some sort of, that is also an attachment to something that is not in the now.
Absolutely. I agree.
I often find myself either thinking about the past that I can't change or worrying about the future that I have no control of. But that's where I spend majority of my days, and I'm like, I just need to stop doing that. And so I have to be very mindful to be in the now.
Oh, yeah. So relate to that. I mean, there's so many programs from the moment you're born. What are you going to be? What are you going to do? Everything about the future. And then some traumatic thing happens and you go to therapy and let's rehash the past over and over and over again. Not saying there's anything wrong with therapy, but it's very strong program. So, I mean, for those dealing with this, be graceful with yourself. Absolutely.
One of the thoughts that began what part of this journey for me with the channeling was I'm obstinate a little bit. I'm a little bit of a rebel when it comes to certain things, but everybody's like, you live in a world of duality. You can't be no happiness without sadness. You can't know anger without being happy. And I was sitting with my guys one day and I'm like, I think that's such BS. Like, I just think that's BS. I'm like, yeah, we live in a world of duality, but I can learn how to swim without having to drown. Like I can cook food without having to get burned. Like, and I can be happy learning those things and learn something new and be happy with it. Like I used to get so frustrated. I think on some level, that's like my 5D self or something coming out being like, it doesn't have to be this way, living on this 3D earth with the duality,
I love it, Angie. Your spirit is like rejecting the duality. It's like, no, I'm going to do it Angie way.
Yeah.
A little bit of the devil. Oh, I agree with that. So like with the channeled message, what my guide was telling me, you don't have to experience that contrast. But if you are experiencing that contrast, see it for what it is and for what it's teaching you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. Because I have gone through depression. I have gone through all of those things. And I think that's what made me mad. Like, I didn't have to do that. But I guess I did. I'm here.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, you went through it, so you kind of did.
Right.
You kind of did. Now you're in a spot to realize that no judgment was needed, really, but you have to go through it in order to learn the lesson, I guess, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Today I had channeled this morning. It was last night. I was asking a question, a personal question, and they said the healing will volumize in vortex. I said, well, what do I need to do? And they said, no effort is needed. Almost as though what's done is the light is rising and everybody's going to be healed. Like our wounds are healing. We're filling with this high vibrational light now, and we're moving forward because never have I asked the question to them and they said no effort is needed. And they said it twice to me because I asked another question. I typically channel in to see what it is that we should talk about on our show or what is most important. And they said no effort is needed. So that was the second time. I'm like, okay. So I got the impression that we're going. And they also said to me that they told us that the 5 of us are all lit. And they said that the earth has tilted into the light now. And they have been telling me from the beginning that I need to raise my vibration so that we can tilt the earth in light. And they told me last night, that the earth has tilted to the light. So
that's awesome. Everything is set in motion now. There's no turning back.
Yes.
Question: do you think that MedBeds are like a concentration of new earth energy?
It seems like there is more technology coming out. There's like the EES, and they have different things like that. There's this one of the naturopathic doctor I work with now. She has what's called a Prife, which is a frequency. It looks like a hairdryer kind of, and it's like this frequency machine that raises the frequency of your body and takes away pain and stuff. So that's kind of cool. All these things are starting to get out into the public. So I think MedBeds are a possibility.
What I have heard is that they heal anything. And it seems that with what Angie was talking about, like no effort needed, maybe it is a tool for the transition, because in the new earth, we're not going to need healing.
Right.
So when the queen passed, I had this thought in my head that we, all of us here on earth right now, are the true royalty, not the queens of England's and Denmark's and Spain's and whoever they might be, but us, these people that work, have children, have family, and clean up after themselves, and still have the goodwill to go out in the world and do the good stuff. Not somebody who was just happened to be born in the specific family. What do they do for people? Nothing. They just carry on the family name. That's all they're good for. I'm just saying that we are the true royalty. I feel very animated about that. Like, we're the true royalty. We do all of that and more is what is asked of us, right? Mm-hmm. And more. We're the true royalty.
That seems really in line with Christ consciousness, because Christ saw those that were unhealed or poor or whatever, all is worthy and equal.
Where we actually care about one another. We actually do love one another. And have we had all of these technologies for so long? I mean, you could cry just thinking about how many lives could have been so much better because of them. So I think we care about one another where that is missing in the so-called illusion of the systems that are collapsing now.
Which ties back to sovereignty and how the illusion of control, how y'all were talking about, and how you've always had control. And when we realize that, our manifestation, we recognize how much we're manifesting everything and creating it around it.
Yeah.
As we are the majority and we are the true royalty, we can make this unity consciousness happen.
Absolutely. And that's the idea behind the channelings. Keep your light vibrating high, because when we do that all together, we all shift together. The illusion changes. So when you think of things that light you up and make you happy and create a sense of peace and love in your heart, that's the thing that's going to shift you. That's what's going to shift your world. So if we all do that, we'll all shift together.
And don't fall into the fear. Keep your light.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today.
Let us know your thoughts, questions, and requests.
If this content resonates, please like, share, and subscribe.
Hit the notification bell to be notified when we drop a new episode.
See you in another dimension.